Hi, I'm Laura from 5 out of 4 Patterns, and welcome to the Agility Tank and Dress Sew Along Day 3, sponsored by Serge Fabric Shop. Today we are making a nursing bra. Now I know not everyone needs a nursing bra, but this is a really awesome feature to this pattern that makes it so usable by all kinds of women. Let's make a nursing bra. All right, we're getting all ready for our nursing bra. Now you're going to flip to page 22 for the nursing bra tutorial. If you haven't already cut your nursing layer, it's time to do that. I have the main, the lining, and the power net. The purpose of the power net is to give you the support that you need. It is optional, but take into consideration whether or not you need support, take into consideration the fabric, your own body, things like that. This is kind of a super stretchy, kind of thin, lightweight, athletic brush poly. It's lovely, but it's not going to give me a ton of support even if I use the main and the lining. So I'm adding the power net to give me a little bit more support. This will be a comfortable nursing bra. This is the nursing layer, and we've got some binding pieces that we are going to currently work with. I will not be adding elastic to the binding pieces for this nursing option. You can choose to do that, and you can refer to the day 2 bra section to show you how to install that elastic. I will link to it in the description box below. Okay, so let's get started. We're on step 1 of the nursing bra, and it says if you haven't already cut out your nursing layers and binding pieces, it's time to do that. There is a table to the right on page 22 that shows you the lengths and widths of the binding pieces that you will need. It's done by size, so you've used the measurements that correspond with your size, of course. So we're going to stack our nursing layers. So let's move our binding over a little bit here. And we are going to stack them wrong sides together. Okay, you can choose to baste these together just to keep it a little more orderly for you, or you can just kind of clip them into place as I am doing. We're going to be applying the binding to the arms here and to the neck, so that will get clipped for sure as we go. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go to my serger and I'm going to stretch the binding between the clips. I'm not gonna stretch the fabric. I'm just gonna be stretching the binding until the fabric and the binding meet up like this. And so I'm gonna serge both of those on. All right, let's press the seam allowance toward the binding, just to get it all looking nice. Once we finish pressing this, we are going to click the link that says binding detail section, which takes us to page 39, where we will finish our binding. What I'm going to do is, whoopsies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some washaway wonder tape to the seam allowance here that is already pressed up toward the binding piece, so away from the bodice. Now we're going to use a single fold binding method, which means we're just going to fold our binding piece over to where it covers that seam allowance. If you do not have washaway wonder tape or you don't want to use it, it's fine. All you need to do is, you won't put anything on it, you'll just turn it and you'll pin it or clip it in place. I like to use washaway wonder tape when I have it on hand because it just makes things go a little bit faster for me. All right, so then we're just going to fold it to cover the seam allowance, and then we are going to top stitch it. Okay, so when we top stitch this, we're going to use a cover stitch, a zigzag, or a stretch stitch on our machine. And then we will come back and we will press it again. Okay, here we are. Let's press, and we're going to trim. All right, now let's turn it to the right side. We're going to do the same thing to this neckline. The first thing we want to do though is we want to find the center of our neckline here, and then we'll find the center of our binding piece. Now, using a serger, stretch stitch, or zigzag, we are going to sew this on. All right, let's press. We're going to press again. We're going to press our seam allowance toward the binding, away from the bodice. Now we're going to repeat what we just did, and we're going to top stitch using a stretch stitch, zigzag, or cover stitch. All right, let's give it a press. Now we need to trim off the excess. All right, here we are. Okay, so let's just clarify a little something here. Now, if you're making the T-back bra, you will have already taken your main and your lining fabric and attach that T-back. I have not done that because I'm doing the strappy version, so make sure you don't skip that first step. Now we're going to place our nursing layer on top of the main here. Now you're going to line up the side seams starting at the bottom. Okay, so line up that bottom edge and clip in place, and then to the top edge and clip in place. Okay, now you should have about 3/8 of an inch overlap here. Now you should see here that the nursing layer is shorter than the main layer, about 3/8 of an inch. So that's why it's important to line it up from the bottom. That is on purpose. It is supposed to be that way. Now we're going to take one of our main bra back, and we are going to put that right sides down, so it's right sides together with the nursing top, and we are going to clip those together. That's the same as far as the side seam. It's the same height as the main. So the nursing front is shorter than both the back main and the front main. Okay, now we're going to go to our sewing machine, and with the stretch stitch, zigzag, or serger, we're going to sew down either side seam to attach the front and back to the nursing layer. So here's what it looks like if I turn it right side out. It's all connected at the side seams. Got our piece that comes down here. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to skip back to step 3, which is on page 20. There's a link for that at the bottom of the page. We're going to stack our bra front and our bra back pieces right sides together and sew the side seams. And so we've done that already actually with this. Do it with our lining. And now we'll sew, and I'll be right back. Okay, let's look at our main here. This is our main outer, and here's what we know we have. We have our nursing layer, which includes a main, a lining, and the power net, and we also have this. That is considered one full layer here, and that also is attached to the back. So our lining is actually going to remain wrong side out, and we are going to slip it inside of the main here. So we just got to make sure we have all of our layers together. So the top layer, it has actually 4 layers. The main bra, the nursing layer lining, the nursing power net, and the nursing main front. So that's all one layer. So you want to make sure that you have those connected together so you don't get things messed up, and this goes into the right opening. So it goes inside, it's wrong side out, but it goes inside of the main so that the wrong sides are together. All right? So the seams, the serge seams or the sewn seams should be touching one another. All right, so get all of our pieces here. There we go. And it's a lot of layers. You just gotta do your best. Okay, whoops. Okay, so we've got those. Let's do the bottom side seam on each side. Help us. So see how we've got side seam, and you've got 4 layers on the one side and 3 on the other. Oops. Okay. Since I'm doing the strappy back bra, I need the strappy back binding, and there's a link there that you can click on that will take you to page 29 where we will work on those bindings. So if you've not cut your binding pieces, now is the time to do that. You'll want to go ahead and get those cut out. Now you can put elastic in this binding, with this binding if you'd like. I'm not doing it on this, but I will link to yesterday's video and let you know kind of the timestamp on that video where you can find when I did that for the other bras in case you need some help there. But now let's work on attaching our binding. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do here for our binding is we need to find the center and clip that or pin that, and then we need to open it up and then grab our measuring tape. We are going to measure from either end so that we can mark those shoulder seams. All right, the measurements are in the chart on page 29. You are going to measure from the end in. You're going to find your size, and then that will tell you how far you need to measure in. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach our binding. And then using a serger or stretch stitch or zigzag stitch, we are going to stitch this on. But before we do that, if you need, you can add more pins or clips. So we're just going to stretch the binding. Don't stretch the fabric. Stretch the binding to meet the fabric. All right, now let's sew. All right, here we are. Get all these pieces together here. Okay, so I have attached the binding to the main front, and now we're going to press. So let's turn it this way, and we are going to press the seam here, the seam allowance, toward the binding, so away from the main bra. Okay, once you have done that, it's time to work on our single fold binding. Now we're doing the single fold binding method. You can certainly do double fold if you choose. That's totally up to you. I've got my washaway wonder tape, and we are going to put the washaway wonder tape on this folded edge here. All right, so I only go about halfway, and then I do this half, and then I'll go to the other side. So let's take our cover off here. All right, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to fold the binding over. You want to just cover the seam allowance there. And after we get on top stitching this, you'll be able to trim off all the excess. Okay. All right, there we are at the end. Now let's turn this way, and we'll do the other side. All right, let's make sure. Quick. Okay. So make sure it's folded in, and that's where your washaway wonder tape goes. All right. Okay, so make sure you have your folded edge here, and then you're just folding the binding over onto itself here and covering up that stitch line. Okay, so if we turn this over, we can see how it looks before I stitch it all on there. So now we're going to take it to the cover stitch or the sewing machine. You can use a zigzag stretch stitch or cover stitch to top stitch all the way around. Okay, so here we are. You can see that I've got it all attached here, and it looks pretty awesome. I'm going to do the back and the sides here, and I'm going to insert video from yesterday's day because the instructions are exactly the same. Now let's turn our bra over and let's make sure we have the center of our back piece. So now we're going to attach our binding to our bra. Now remembering that, let's look at this. We've got our two seams here where we attach the back to the back's binding to the arm binding. Now these are going to match our side seams. So in this pin is going to match the center of the back. And we're also going to add elastic to this. We're going to do this exactly the same way that we just did the neckline and the strap. It's exactly the same, it's just the back and the arms that come up to another strap. All right, here we are. We've got our arm and strap and back binding all attached. Now we got to just finish it off. So let's turn it around here. I'm going to turn it wrong side out. And we're going to pull out our washaway wonder tape again, because remember, I can't iron this because, you know, I don't want melted spots. So we're going to put our washaway wonder tape, because the seam allowance needs to go up, right? And I can't really make sure, I can't iron it up, which is what I would normally do. I'm going to use some washaway wonder tape. So you're going to put it on this side, the elastic side of the back here. Now we're going to turn it this way, and we got to do the other side. Again, the seam allowance needs to be pushed up, whether you're ironing it or you're using washaway wonder tape like me. It needs to be pushed up toward the binding, not toward the bodice. Now, more washaway wonder tape. If you're not using washaway wonder tape, you're simply going to fold it down toward, this is the inside, the wrong side of our bra, toward the wrong side, and pin or clip in place. Okay, I'm using washaway wonder tape because I love it and I have it. So we'll start across the back, just what we just did. The important thing about this is that you take your time. This is not like a beginner pattern. That doesn't mean a beginner could not do this with a lot of patience and a lot of just taking your time. I do believe anyone can make this pattern. Just don't feel like you're going to rush through it. This isn't a quick sew, you know, basic t-shirt or whatever. Or tank. it's something you've got to take your time with, and there's a learning curve. There are some things, well, I would say the coolest thing about this pattern is that if you're new to some of the concepts, you're learning so much, and that's what makes it so fun. As many times as I've made this, and as many mistakes as I've made while making it, every single time I finish, mistakes and all, I'm really proud of my work, and I'm like, look at this thing that I just made. So, you know, to me, it's a confidence booster, and I learned so very much. Even still, as I've made it several times. In fact, I tested this pattern when it first came out. I still learn things every time I make it. I still make mistakes, whether they're small mistakes or big mistakes. I still make mistakes each time because I'm still learning. We're all still learning how to achieve, you know, really awesome sews. None of us really ever arrive. None of us are ever perfect. So it's nice to feel like you're learning something. And after all, you know, we constantly say never stop sewing, never stop growing, and we really do believe that. And this is one of those patterns that's super fun and does help you to grow. Okay, so let's turn it right side out. It's time to top stitch. We're going to top stitch the exact same way that we did the neckline, with a cover stitch, stretch stitch, or zigzag, and I'll be right back. Okay, now that I have finished my binding, which means I have top stitched it and I have trimmed off the extra fabric that I don't need, it's time to assess fit. So I put this on my model just like I did with the T-back, but I'm trying to find placement for my straps. So refer to the tutorial that shows you exactly how this should fit. It tells you exactly where things should hit and the support that you should have. Once you have done that and you know exactly where your straps need to be, it's time to do the underbust elastic. Now, how do you do the underbust elastic? Well, we already covered that back in the T-back. Super easy. So that's all you'll need to do. You'll need to attach your straps, and you're just going to stitch over the same stitch line, just like with the T-back, and you are going to put your underbust elastic in. So we're looking for 3/4 inch elastic, which I have here, which I also bought at Serge Fabric Shop. We're going to measure your underbust. That's what you're going to do here, and you are going to subtract 1 to 2 inches, whatever you're most comfortable with. Now there is a chart in here, but that's just general. Okay, those measurements may not be comfortable for you, so don't just cut your elastic at 30 inches and just assume that it's going to fit right. So you're going to want to measure your underbust, because everybody's slightly different and our comfort levels are also different. So you're going to make sure you want to make sure that you do that. So I have already done that with my daughter, and I have my piece of elastic right here. So okay, elastic is quartered. Now we need to quarter the bottom of our bra. Now let's note that the side seams are not necessarily the quarter points, okay? We're going to match our side seams. We're trying to find the center of the front and the center of the back first, so we can mark that. Get our layers all together and matched. All right. There's the center back. Now we're going to match the center front and center back to find the quarter point on the side. So this, you can see right here, this is the side seam right here. And so this is, the side seam is not the quarter point. It's just past that side seam. Make sure you're marking that correctly. Depending on the size of your under bust measurement, you may or may not have a whole lot to pull, to stretch here. Now my 13-year-old is busty, so she has a large bust, but she's very small under the bust. So I have quite a bit, you can see, that I'm gonna have to pull in, but that's what's gonna fit her best. So let's get that sewn. Okay, so here we are. We've got our bra basically finished. The only thing left to do is to attach our nursing bra portion and to cut some holes. My suggestion on the holes, cutting the holes for breastfeeding, is to put it on and mark it where you want it to be open. Don't make it too big. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to be comfortable, but a muslin, when you make your muslin, that will help you figure out exactly what you need to do there. But I would not just willy-nilly cut two holes here for breastfeeding without having tried it on and marked it. You know what's comfortable for you and everybody's comfort level, and just the way their breasts sit is different. So definitely make a muslin and try it on and things like that. You can, once you cut your hole or whatever you're cutting there for nursing, you can finish that with like an overlock or a serger, but you don't have to do anything because it is knit and it's not going to fray. For the nursing clips, here's what we have. Okay, we've got nursing clips that look like this. You can get them in different colors. I've had these for years, since I was last nursing. So it's been a really long time. I'm not exactly sure where I got these, but Waywack or Wawack, however you pronounce it, they have them. Probably could find them on Amazon as well. So the first piece we have is this piece, and it has us poking this through here. Now it can be difficult depending on the thickness of your fabric, but if you manhandle it enough, you can get it through there. See, just like that. And you're going to fold it over and you're going to stitch across here. Okay, now you can use a piece of washaway wonder tape to hold it in there, but you probably won't need to. So you'll stitch across there. All right, and then you'll do the same thing to the other side. See, it looks like it's going to be hard for a second, but then it's not. And then you'll turn that over just like the other, and you'll stitch across. Being careful not to hit that plastic piece right here. You'll break a needle, so you're just going to be careful to not hit that, and then you're going to stitch across there. All right. Just take it slow and make sure you're back stitching. Okay, so then just trim off any excess, And there we have it. Okay. Oops. Let's turn it this way. Makes it a lot easier to see. All right. Okay, so you can see we have both of our nursing clips attached. That is pretty simple. Now, you're going to try on the tank and determine where to attach the other piece of the clip, which is here. And you'll need a needle and thread. So grab a needle and thread, try it on, and then you're going to mark where this goes, okay? So let's say it goes here, okay? Right about there. Straighten it out. All right, so I'm going to place a pin in it right here. All right, and we know that the top of it hits the bottom of that pin. Now let's get our thread ready, and we're going to sew this by hand. All right, then you are going to secure the bottom of this piece. So you've secured the top. We want to secure the bottom. So you're going to sew all the way across there. Okay, so I've secured both the top and the bottom, and you're going to want to be a little more neat than I was. But this is what your nursing option will look like. And then you'll be able to take it off and put it back on. So there we have our nursing bra. I love this bra. I think it's really cool. It's a neat, fun way to have a nursing option in a really awesome sports bra or tank or dress. It's pretty fabulous. But that is your nursing bra. While I'm done having kids, I know it's important to have a really great nursing bra. So those of you that are making a nursing bra, show us your progress. We would love to see your version of the Agility tank and dress. I will see you tomorrow for day 4, where we will make a top and a dress.